The year is 2025, and apparently the most controversial story of the day is a female athlete saying she's not competing in the 2028 Olympics if
men are allowed to compete in her sport.
And it's at moments like this that I'm reminded of the wise words from a film called Kindergarten Cop.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Thanks for the tip.
Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler, in my home office, and I'm scrolling through the Twitterverse today, and I come across a video that is so patently insane it could only be true in 2025. Well, actually, it was true in 2024, but it's still as true today as it was in 2024. I see a video, this is the video that I see, and I had to go look into the video afterwards just to make sure that it was true.
Check out this video.
Female volleyball game that we witnessed earlier featured not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 men pretending to be females. 3 were on Seneca, 2 were on Centennial. Not only that, the male players were always on the court. So you had biological female substitute just sitting on the bench for the entire game.
I see that video, I have to go make sure that it's relatively accurate, and it is. It's just not from 2025, it's from 2024, but it's as true today as it was then. It was Rebel News reporting. I knew the voice of David Menzies, one of the last true journalists coming out of Canada. It seems that all of the last true journalists out of Canada work for Rebel News. So that was the story. Fox News reported on it back in the day as well. Canadian women's college volleyball game features at least 2 trans athletes. A report says the game had 5 trans players by Ryan Morick, Fox News, published February 7, 2024. A college women's volleyball game late last month featured at least 2 transgender athletes. Seneca College and Centennial College played against each other in Ontario on January 24, a match Seneca won in 4 sets. The match was rumored to feature 5 players who were born male, although Fox News Digital was only able to confirm at least 2 athletes. It's just bat poop crazy. There's no other way to say it. Born male, as though you could be born a sex and die another sex. It is just bat poop crazy. It is guarna level crazy. I have stopped using the qualifiers biological when referring to male or female. There is no other way to be a male or a female other than through biology, so adding the word biological adds absolutely nothing except for confusion and plays into the insanity, which I refuse to do anymore. So yeah, in this volleyball game, you had 5 males competing in a female volleyball game where you had the women, the actual women, born women, biological women, sitting on the sidelines while the men took their spots on the court. So I saw that, I was satisfied that it was real, and I just tweeted out, yeah, I can't believe this is real, but it occurred in 2024. It changes nothing because the story of the day is a female athlete stirring up controversy by saying she will not compete in the 2028 Olympics in swimming if men are allowed to compete in women's sports. From Greek City Times, Olympic champion draws line over transgender inclusion ahead of 2028 games. The world of competitive swimming has been thrust into controversy following remarks by Australian Olympic champion Molly O'Callaghan, who said she would not compete at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics if transgender swimmer Leah Thomas is allowed to participate in the women's events. Controversy. It's somehow controversial for a woman to say, I will not compete in women's sports if you let men compete in those sports. And for those of you who don't know,
Leah Thomas is a man with a ding-dong between his legs.
The NCAA forced female swimmers to share a locker room with Thomas, a 6'4", 22-year-old male who was fully intact with male genitalia. Let me be clear, we were not forewarned. We were not asked for our consent, and we did not give our consent. And I can attest to the extreme discomfort in the locker room when you turn around and there's a male watching you undress while exposing himself.
As far as I understand it, he is a man with a ding-dong between his legs that he still uses to put in the vajayjays of women because that's how it works with men and women. Riley Gaines stirred up controversy by saying it's unfair that she had to be de-podiumed because she tied with Leah Thomas in a women's event. She stirred up controversy for that. It's insane what stirs up controversy these days. It seems that stating boys have penises and girls have vaginas and women's sports are for people with vaginas is somehow controversial. O'Callaghan's statement made during a recent interview has ignited a fierce global debate on inclusion, fairness, and the future of women's sports. Quote, I will not compete at the 2028 Olympics if Leah Thomas is allowed in the women's category. Let her compete in the men's events. It's about protecting the integrity of women's sports, end quote, O'Callaghan said. I would find it quite ironic if O'Callaghan O'Callaghan actually unironically said, let her compete in men's sports. Leah Thomas is a man. No matter what he does, he will be a man. There's nothing wrong with that. What on earth would be wrong with being a man? He is a man. He might identify as whatever. That does not give him the right to compete in women's sports. Fairness and inclusion? Yeah, it's about including women in women's sports. It's about being fair to women in women's sports. And that inclusion does not allow for including men to compete in women's sports. That's not fairness. That's not inclusion. That is unfairness, and that is exclusion for women in women's sports. Her comments quickly spread across social media, attracting both strong support and criticism. Some praised her for voicing concerns about competitive fairness, while others accused her of exclusionary or discriminatory rhetoric. You know who would accuse O'Callaghan of exclusionary or discriminatory rhetoric? Men who like beating women at women's sports
And women who hate women.
Leah Thomas, who became the first openly transgender athlete to win an NCAA women's swimming title, has long been at the center of the global discussion on gender identity in elite sport. Supporters of inclusion argue that transgender athletes should be able to compete according to their gender identity, while critics insist that biological differences can create unfair advantages in certain events. Now ask yourself this one important question. Why in the name of sweet holy hell would you get to compete in elite sporting events based on your gender identity? If I identify as a 12-year-old boy who weighs 100 pounds, do I now, in the name of inclusion and not being discriminatory, get to wrestle against 12-year-old boys who weigh 100 pounds? I'm not the best wrestler in the world, but I would demolish every 12-year-old boy who weighs 100 pounds at wrestling. I say that and maybe I wouldn't.
But I would.
And that's because I'm a relatively muscular 158-pound man, and despite how bad I might be at wrestling, being 58 pounds stronger than a 12-year-old boy will win pretty much every time. That's just how biological, physiological advantages work. And when it comes to men versus women, there are undeniable biological, physiological advantages that do not change with your identity. The biological differences between men and women are so profound and so undeniable that there was a senator, I forget who it was, in the context of some hearings, and I think it was Hirono, because she's one of the few people stupid enough to say this. She's like, there are biological differences between men and women. Women can't do chin-ups or pull-ups, so it's unfair to exclude them on that basis.
You know, one question I had is, that you are now requiring applicants to be able to do a certain kind of pull-ups, which a lot of women cannot because of physiological differences.
Do you realize what you've done?
So even according to the dumbest, most progressive liberal Democrats out there, there are undeniable physiological differences between men and women, and allowing a man to compete in women's sports, it's not inclusion, it's nothing but discrimination and woman abuse. In response to the uproar, the World Aquatics Federation released a brief statement reaffirming its commitment to both, quote, inclusivity and competitive integrity, end quote, emphasizing that all participation rules are, quote, based on scientific evidence, end quote. Sources within the organization suggested that internal discussions are already underway to address the growing backlash and concerns from athletes. Well, if it's based on science, boys have penises, girls have vaginas. Boys have stronger muscles, denser bones, they have a bigger heart, bigger lung capacity, bigger arm reach. That gives them a slight competitive advantage when swimming against women. Reactions within Australia have been sharply divided. Some former athletes have praised O'Callaghan for taking a public stance, while others warned that her comments risk damaging Australia's international sporting reputation. The Australian Olympic Committee has yet to comment officially on the matter. All inclusive, except no woman will ever win a top-level competition event ever again. It will always be dominated by the best of men. And if that sounds sexist to you, too freaking bad. That's why they created women's divisions in the first place. And now you jackasses want to say, in the name of inclusion, we've got to do away with the women's division that we created for equality in the first place. You guys are idiots, but you know what you're doing. All you want to do is actually exert force over a group
And have them submit to your will.
Back to the article to finish up this crazy Sunday. But before we get back to the article, make sure that you have liked, shared, subscribed, turned on notifications, drop a comment in the comment section below to let me know if you agree with me, or more importantly, if you disagree with me, why. I will do my best to reply to all of the comments that are remotely logical, expressing why I am wrong, but spoiler alert, I am not wrong. Leah Thomas has not issued a response, with her representatives stating that she is focusing on training and will not engage in, quote, divisive debates, end quote. Of course he won't, because he wants to compete against women, the only group that he ever had a chance of beating, because he was a subpar swimmer when he was competing with men. Oh, and by the way, when was Leah Thomas competing in the men's category? All the way back in 2017 to 2018, 19 when Leah Thomas was still a man. As preparations for the 2028 Olympics continue, O'Callaghan's declaration has reignited one of the most sensitive and polarizing questions in modern sport: how to balance inclusion, science, and fairness in competition. The debate now extends far beyond the pool, touching on broader cultural, ethical, and political issues that continue to challenge the sporting community. Spoiler, they don't challenge anything in the sporting community except perhaps with a group that believes you can say 2 + 2 = 5, and if you say it enough, at some point 2 + 2 will equal 5. The greatest lie the party ever told you was to deny the evidence before your very eyes. George Orwell's 1984. It's a book that will be timeless and true because history doesn't repeat, but it tends to rhyme, and we are seeing a rhyming of 1984 in real time in 2025. To be continued, we will see where this goes and if men are allowed to compete in women's sports in the year 2028 in Los Angeles, the epicenter of woke ideology. We'll see what happens. But if you like what I do, you know what to do. Most importantly, exercise, eat healthy, sunlight, talk to people in real life, and now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps. Booyah!